So this is CJ Baker, and this is an epic soundtrack to a mundane existence. So Rolling Stone just posted a list of the 250 best albums of the 21st century so far. So I decided I'll do a live reaction video. So I haven't had a chance to look at the list yet. I mean, there was one spoiler. I know what number one is. But other than that, this is my first time looking at it. Of course, if you see the screen, it gives you some hints. So there's certain albums, for sure are going to be on there, but I'm not sure the exact order or sequence. So I'll start to scroll down to the list. So there we go. So number 250 by NSYNC, No Strings Attached. So yeah, not really my thing, but obviously a successful album, and maybe it's considered important in the history of pop music. Maybe there's aspiring boy band artists that love NSYNC, or teenage girls that nostalgically listen to it, or I guess used to be teenage girls that nostalgically listen to it. Then we got 249 by Marina, Electric Heart. So I sort of heard the name Marina and the Diamonds. I think I've heard some songs from them, but I've never heard the entire album and not familiar with this album. So hence I don't have much of an opinion. And we got 248, Cross Seat Headrest, Teens of Denial. And I've listened to some Cross Seat Headrest, don't have an issue with them, but never fully gotten into them. But yeah, it's fine. 248. 247, Tyler Childers, Purgatory. I did enjoy some of the stuff I've heard from him, but I'm not sure if I listened to this album. It's a bit more country leaning than a lot of stuff I listen to, but he is like a really good singer songwriter. Makes reference to Lady May. I do remember hearing that song. I also recall watching Austin City Limits with John Prine, who I'm a big fan of, and Tyler joined him for a couple of songs. So this might be someone that I need to do a deeper dive with. So Saba, Care for Me. I do recognize the name a little bit, and I think he appeared on a couple of like the No Name albums. I know they're both from Chicago, but I haven't done a deeper dive, so I'm not overly familiar with this album. And we got 245, the 1975. I mean, I've heard this album in the past. I just never really got into the 1975, but I realized that they are a successful band. So I don't necessarily have a big issue with them being on this list. 244, 21 Savage and Metro Boomin, Savage Mode. And I know they're considered pretty influential and kind of trap type music, which isn't necessarily my favorite form of rap, but I can understand why this might be considered pretty important in the Atlanta hip hop scene. 243, Pierce the Veil, Collide with the Sky. So yeah, this is something I don't mind necessarily. I believe it's like pop punk. I'm not overly familiar with them. Um, so yeah, kind of neutral. We got 242, Jenny Rivera, Le Grand Sonora. So yeah, this is, I guess, Latino music, probably Hispanic. It sounds like it's Mexican. It sounds like, unfortunately, she passed away, but I have to acknowledge that I'm not familiar with her. But I'll probably move fairly quickly at the first few because the earlier list, this is, I think, where you kind of just put, I don't want to say put whatever, because I think many of these albums are probably perfectly good albums, but the albums that are considered really iconic and definitive are going to show up later. And I think that's when you're going to get the potential debates. So I think the early on in the list, it's kind of like whatever. and it gives the writers an opportunity to maybe just put on maybe some left field picks or personal critical faves that maybe didn't do well commercially. Then we got MJ Lenderman, Man in Fireworks. So yeah, I didn't hate this album. I think I had it around 3.5 stars. I mean, it was a good enough album. But yeah, it's an okay kind of like slacker rock type album. Number 240, Tyler. So yeah, this is 2024. I did not listen to it. 239, Doja Cat, Hot Pink. Yeah, I've never got into Doja Cat. It's not stylistically my thing. I do remember that viral song that it referenced Moo, because I think that's the Bitch I'm a Cow song. So I think at the time I got a kick out of that. But yeah, otherwise it's not something I really listen to. 238, Kurt Vile, Smoke Ring for my Halo. I do really like this album. It's been a while since I listened to it. But yeah, it's Kurt Vile. He's a cool guy who appeals to someone like myself because this is an artist that could have also came out in the 90s and his music fits in with what I was listening to as a teen in the 90s. So yeah, no issue there. 237, Ashley Simpson, audio biography or biography, autobiography. Get a bit tongue tie. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to see Ashley Simpson because I didn't think she recovered from the whole lip sync incident, and I don't didn't think she was ever considered a particular influential artist. Like I don't think critics ever loved her. But yeah, I guess whatever. Maybe they're trying to pick some picks that people are gonna argue about. And it's only 237. We got 236, Turnstile, Low On. So yeah, I haven't really did a in-depth dive of Turnstile. Um, I mean, musically, it's something that I potentially might like because I do like hardcore, and I think some of the stuff's a little bit emo. But I just never, for whatever reason, listened to any of their albums in full. So maybe I need to change that. So 235, Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia. And I'm gonna admit I'm not super into pop music. So this is out of or outside of what I would generally listen to. But I'll acknowledge that she is a successful pop artist, and I think she's well regarded within that musical realm. So I don't necessarily have an issue with the placement. 234. I'm not going to try to butcher the name. So yeah, it looks like this is he's from Spain. So yeah, I've never listened to it, so I can't really make an opinion. Yeah, Mark Hamill, Pray for Haiti. Yeah, I do like Mark Hamill. His recent album from 2024, Rich Ass Haitian, that was on my list of the top 25 albums of 2024. It's been a while since I've listened to this album, but it's an excellent album. And he does have a bit of a cult following, and he has a bit of mystique about him. Like he always has his face covered, and he does not allow his lyrics to be on Genius or any of those other lyric sites. So he definitely protects his image. But yeah, I like he's a pretty good MC and a pretty good storyteller who quite often touches upon political issues, especially those that affect Haiti. And this is definitely the case with this album here. 232, Khalid, American Teen. So yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with the name, but never listened to the album. So we'll just move on. We got Swearing. So yeah, I vaguely recognize the name, and um I do like punk music, so it might be something I would like if I listen to it. But yeah, I've never listened to the album. 230, Miley Cyrus, bangers. I think I actually have listened to the album, and I don't want to use guilty pleasure, but I think I liked it more than what I generally would or should based on my taste. And this one does have Wrecking Ball. Actually, once again, I don't want to use the term guilty pleasure, even though watching the music video makes me feel guilty. But yeah, Wrecking Ball is actually a fantastic song. And yeah, I'm not actually guilty about it. It's a real banger. So yeah, so I don't really have a big issue with Miley Cyrus at 2:30. 2:29, we got Hop Along, Painted Shut. Yeah, and I'm familiar with the name, but I haven't listened to the album. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion. Wiz Kid, Made in Lagos. Yeah, so he's from Nigeria. I believe it's like Afro beats, but I'm not really sure. Haven't really explored his music, so I can't really offer an opinion. 2:27, TV on the radio. Return to Cookie Mountain. This is an excellent album. I do like TV on the radio. So yeah, it's awesome that they're represented on the list because I wasn't sure because I don't think they have a super huge profile, but I think they are reasonably well received critically. So yeah, this is a really good album. There's a couple of other albums that have an outside shot, but I think TV on the radio is a band that you're probably only going to pick one album from. Then we got 2:26, Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs. And I'm only very familiar with them. I've never done a deeper dive. I believe he's considered like emo rap, but don't quote me on that. So yeah, I can't really give an opinion. 2:25, Avril Lavigne, Let Go. I mean, the album's fine for what it is. I guess Gator Boy and Complicated, they're perfectly fine pop songs. I guess there's a little bit of a watered down pop punk thing going on. I can see why teenage girls would have liked it back in the day, or those that were teenagers back in the 2000s. Maybe there's a sense of nostalgia if you go back and listen to it. So yeah, I'm not mad at it. 2:25, that's fine. 2:24, OEM reveal. I mean, it's all right. It's been a while since I listened to the album, and from what I recall, I thought it was just a okay album. Like obviously REM's peak was in the 80s and 90s, but they're definitely an important, influential band. But yeah, I'm not sure I would include this album as a list of the best albums of the 21st century, but it's only 224, so I don't think we're at the point in the list yet where you can get too worked up. Well, okay, I wasn't expecting this, but this is actually a really cool pick. Yeah, the Crew Party Music. This is like Boots Wiley's band, and it's very funky, very political. But yeah, this is an awesome album. I like most of the albums I've listened to, and I do like Boots Wiley. Like he's very left leaning and very confrontational. So some of the lyrics here, like yeah, it could be a little bit. I don't know if I want to say polarizing, but yeah, he doesn't pull any punches when expressing his political views. Then we got 222 Thames for Broken Ears. Yeah, it looks like they're from Nigeria, so it's kind of like Afro pop. To be honest, Afro pop outside of like Fela Kuti and then maybe his sons, Femi Sean and his grandson, I think his name like Made. Outside of the Cooties and maybe a couple of other artists like Tony Allen. I really don't know a whole lot about Afro beats. So I guess it's Afro pop, so maybe it's slightly different than Afro beats. But yeah, it's a genre that I'm not really familiar with. 221, The National, High Violet. Yeah, it's a pretty good album. I haven't listened to it in a bit. I do like The National. and I think they are a fairly well-regarded band, and I think they're considered a reasonably influential indie band. So yeah, I don't have a big issue with that. 2020 Pink, Misunderstood. I mean, as far as pop artists goes, I probably like Pink more than most pop artists. Try to remember what songs are on this album. Yes, it's Family Portrait. Just Like a Pill. I do really like that song. So yeah, it looks like there's a couple songs by her that are on this album. I'm not sure if I've listened to an entire Pink album before. But yeah, I don't have a problem for being on the list because I think she's considered a fairly important pop artist. 219 Mac Mill Swimming. So I actually have never listened to an entire Mac Mill album, but I once actually watched NPR Tiny Desk and I was actually impressed. And at the time that I watched it, I was thinking, okay, maybe I should do a deep dive, but I've never actually got around to doing it. But yeah, no issue with Mac Mill at 219. 218, ASAP Rocky, Long Live ASAP. Yeah, and ASAP, someone I don't necessarily have a problem with, but I've never actually listened to an entire album by him. So I'm not familiar enough to really make any kind of statement. 217, the Black Keys Brothers. Yeah, at the time it came out, I was actually really into the album. Haven't listened to it in a bit, and it's kind of gotten to the point where I start to kind of dislike Dan Auerbach a bit. But yeah, this is an excellent album with some really good songs like Tighten Up's on it. I'm trying to remember the other song. Yeah, Next Girl is a great song. So yeah, it's an ex album for you. Yeah, it's a awesome song as well. And this album, it still has the kind of blues rock sound, but kind of expand a little bit beyond it. So it's kind of a good mix of like traditional blues rock and a little bit more accessible music as well. So it's kind of catchy. You can kind of dance to it. But yeah, it's a kick-ass rock album. So 216, Halsey, Manic. And yeah, I've never listened to an entire Halsey album. And I don't have much of an opinion of her. I mean, I've heard a couple songs I don't necessarily hate. But yeah, I just don't really have an opinion of her. So 215. Yeah, I don't want to mess up the name, but it looks like this is another Latino album. Yeah, it sounds like she's from Mexico. Not familiar with it, but it looks like there's pretty good representation from Latino artists and Latino artists, and that's perfectly fine. That's basically, there's a lot of obviously successful music coming from those different countries, and there's a lot of Hispanic speaking people in the United States, and Rolling Stones is a United States based site. So, yeah, I don't mind. If there's a lot of Hispanic representation, that's probably the way it should be. So we got 20, not 2014, we got 214, Queens of the Stone Age, rated R. And I like Queens of the Stone Age. Um, I think I have listened to this album before, but it's been a while. Um, don't have a big issue if it being on there. 213, Jesse Ware, What's Your Pleasure from 2020, sorry. So yeah, this came out during COVID. I haven't actually listened to it. It's not necessarily my type of thing, but I know it was a critically well received album. 212, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like I wasn't really anticipating it, but yeah, You Forgot It in People by Broken Social Scene. Mind you, like at the time it came out, it was loved by Pitchfork, back when Pitchfork was kind of like a hipster type zine, like it wasn't corporate yet. So this was the perfect kind of hipster type indie music. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way because I really like this album as well. So yeah, excellent Canadian band. Oh yeah, and Anthems for a 17-year-old girl. I love that song as well. And I love Feist vocals on it. So yeah, that's excellent album. So 211, The Streets, original pirate material. Yeah, and I like some of the stuff by The Streets. And I think I have listened to a couple of the albums. I'm just trying to remember what's on which album. What songs does it mention? Yeah, it doesn't specifically mention any of the songs that I would know off the top of my head. Doesn't mention Fit and You Know It and Dry Your Eyes. But yeah, I don't mind The Streets. That's fine. 210, Joanna Newsom, YS. So yeah, I mean, whatever I've heard from her, I like perfectly fine, but never super got into her, but that's fine. 209, Paul McCartney, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So yeah, I don't want to badmouth one of the Beatles, and I haven't listened to the album, so I do not have an opinion either way. 208, Vince Staples, Summertime '06. Yeah, I like Vince Staples, and this is a pretty solid album. Don't have an issue with it, and he's a pretty good socially conscious hip hop artist. 207, Maren Moa's Hero. I mean, she's fine. I'm not really into a lot of mainstream country, but I don't mind some of her songs. She was also part of a group called like the High Woman, which I like. Like the group also had Brandy Carlisle and what was her name? Don't remember off the top of my head. She used to be married to Jason Isbell. Um, I apologize for not getting the name right. But yeah, I'm getting off topic because this is Maren Moore's solo, not the High Woman, and the High Woman, I'd be surprised if they're on there. But yeah, I don't have an issue with her either way. So we got 206, St. Vincent. So yeah, Annie Clark's a great guitarist. Never done a super deep dive, but don't have an issue. The Shins or Inverted Word. Yeah, as I know this is considered a fairly important indie album. I think it did well back in the 2000s, like on the Pitchfork, hipster days of Pitchfork. I believe, I could be wrong. But yeah, it's a really good album. I like The Shins, it's a good album. We got 204 by Jasmine Sullivan. I'm not going to butcher the name of the album. So yeah, I only know the one song from her. Trying to see if it's on this album. But there's the song about smashing the windows in your car, which is fine. It's a decent enough song. But that song may or may not be on this album. 203, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. I mean, I don't hate Fitty, but never really gotten into him. So I'm not going to offer any real opinion. 202, The Libertines, up the bracket. Yeah, that's fine. I've never really gotten into the Libertines, but I've never disliked them either. 201, Pusha T, Daytona. I mean, I actually don't, I think I have listened to the album when it came out, and I think I thought it was just kind of okay, but I know it was considered a critically well received album. I don't really have much of an opinion either way. So I guess we'll load more. So we'll wait a couple of seconds. So we got another Canadian indie band. And I like New Phonographers, Mass Romantic, really good title track. Yeah, Letter from Non-Occupants, an excellent song. So it's good that we got some CanCon representation. And especially in that period, Canada has actually had some like really good, important indie acts. So it's good to see that representation. Cameron, Come Home With Me. Yes, I've never actually listened to the album, so I'm not going to offer an opinion. 198, Phoenix, Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix. This album I tried to listen to, but for whatever reason, anytime I try to listen to a Phoenix album, I didn't hate it. It's just I could never thoroughly vibe with it. But I know it's critically well received, so it's possible I'm wrong and everybody else is right. We got 197 Pop Can, where we come from. Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, reggae artist. I think I sort of heard the name, but couldn't tell you too much about it. But it says politically charged, and I do like socially conscious reggae music. So maybe it's an oversight that I've never actually listened to the album. Okay, it just says you knew that there's going to be a bunch of Taylor Swift albums. So this is the first one, 196, Speak Now. And I've only ever listened to a couple of Taylor Swift albums. So most of the time that we get to Taylor Swift, I'm probably just going to quickly scroll. I mean, I don't necessarily have a big issue with her. I mean, I think she's almost overrated by default because no one should be that big, but she's a talented enough singer-songwriter. I'm just not particularly a Swiftie. So yeah, this is a cool album. The Hold Steady, Separation Sunday. I believe I've just rated it 5 stars on Rate Your Music because it's actually the Hold Steady have a few albums I really like, but I haven't necessarily rated all of them. But yeah, I love this album. This might be their only album because I think this is kind of like they want some like kind of cool hipster indie cred picks. But I do like Boys and Girls in America, Stay Positive. Those are excellent albums as well. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see that. Craig Finn is a brilliant songwriter, kind of like his narrative ability there. Yeah, 94, 194, Travis Scott, Astroworld. Yeah, it's not really my thing. I'm not into that style of rap music, and I haven't listened to the album. 193, Feist, Let It Die. I mean, I probably prefer her work with other artists, and I liked her as part of Broken Social Scene. But she's a good singer, and she has some songs I don't necessarily mind. But musically, it's just a little bit more straightforward than what I'm into, like my Shaboom. It's a pleasant enough song, but it's not something I'm super into. 192, Converge, Jane Doe. And I know this is like a critically well-received album, but it's not something that I've ever really got into, so I'll just keep scrolling. Carol G, I'm not going to mess up the pronunciation. And like I mentioned before, I'm totally okay that there's going to be some Hispanic albums on there. It's just not something I'm familiar with. 190, always, always. So yeah, this is a good album. Yeah, Archie Marry Me is a excellent song. Molly Rankin's a good singer. And stylistically, I think she's part of like the Rankin family, which for Canadians, it's kind of they're like an East Coast singing group that kind of sings more easy listening, folky type music. So Molly Rankin, I don't know the exact relation, if she's one of the daughters or some kind of relative. But yeah, musically, this is totally different than the Rankin family. I'm getting a little bit off topic there. But yeah, it's a pretty good indie pop album. Sean Paul, Betty Rock, not really my thing, so we'll keep scrolling. And we got 188. Yeah, this is a cool pick. I wasn't expecting to see it. Japan Void, Celebration Rock, another great Canadian band. So basically, they're a rock and roll tag team, and there was actually decent number of those in the 21st century. So they're probably like I might rate them in like top 5 rock and roll tag teams. I mean, obviously, White Stripes are number one, Black Keys. But yeah, they'll be somewhere in the top 5. But we'll keep scrolling. But yeah, it's an excellent album. 187, Jamie XX and Cutter. Yeah, not really familiar with it, but I think it's kind of like EDM, which I'm not a hardcore into. Yeah, Janelle Monáe, Dirty Computer. Excellent album. I really like it. My favorite album by her is The Arch Android, so it'll be interesting to see if that shows up on the list. Like I think it would be, I don't want to get too worked up about it, but I think if Dirty Computer is going to be on there, or Android should be on there, and I probably have Ultra Android somewhere on the top 100. But we'll see what happens. 185 Sophie Oil of Vapor on insides, so a bit of a mouthful of a title. And I don't know too much about Sophie. I know she died, and I think she's considered pretty important LGBTQ plus artist. So yeah, she's I think a well-respected artist and don't have a problem for on the list. Sonic Youth, Sonic Nurse. I mean, that was fine. I probably wouldn't put it on my top 250 list. Like the most influential Sonic Youth albums would be in the 80s and the 90s. So that's not really a time period where they matter too much. 183, Rhapsody. I like some of the stuff I've heard by Rhapsody, but from whatever reason, I don't know why, I just haven't listened to an entire album by her. 182, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stadium Arcadium. That's fine, I guess. It was at least a successful album. But yeah, I think I just kind of got tired of them by that point. Boy Genius, the record, yeah, it's an excellent album. And I don't have an issue with it at 181. So I think that's an appropriate spot for it. And I enjoy all three artists' solo work as well. And I don't know if any Phoebe Bridgers is probably, I think the Punisher I could see being somewhere on the list. The other two, maybe not, because the other two, if they were going to make the list, they'd probably be somewhere between 250 to 200. We got 180 Killer Mike rap music. Yeah, that's an excellent album. I do like Killer Mike. And I think it was produced, yeah, it was produced by LP as well. So this relationship kind of sowed the seeds of what would become one of the jewels. Yeah, and Reagan's an excellent protest song. So yeah, really good album. And I also added, I did a list on my website on going history of protest music. That was on my list of the top 100 protest albums of the 2010s. Paul Simon, So Beautiful, So What. Yeah, I mean, I think he's just kind of on there because they want some legacy acts represented. But yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion either way. 178, Father John Misty, I Love You, Honey Bear. I mean, it's a good album. I've never really got into Father John Misty, but I know that he's a well-received indie artist and he's a decent enough songwriter. It's just, for that reason, I've never 100% vibe with him. 177, Dizzy Rascal, Boy in the Corner. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I know it's a well-received album. I mentioned it won the Mercury Music Prize, which I know is a prize for like the top album in the UK, but for whatever reason, I've never listened to the album. 176, Shakira, Laundry Service. Yeah, it's fine. It's not really my thing. Never listened to it. 175, Girl Talk, Night Ripper. Yeah, I think I might have heard some of this stuff, but I haven't listened to the album. 174, that's fine. I mean, rest in peace. And I know that she's considered a fairly successful, well-received artist, R&B artist, so I don't have a problem there. Four Tats Rounds. Yeah, it's not a thing I've really got into, but I'm not necessarily super into like a lot of like the electronic type stuff, like the EDMs. It's not something I fairly have ever got into. Yeah, this is an excellent album. Common, like Water for Chocolate, really good, socially conscious rap album. So that's a cool pick. Mastodon, Leviathan. Not sure if I've ever heard a whole Mastodon album. Um, but I've heard it's fine. Like I'm not super into metal, but I like some of it. I'm not entirely sure why I haven't listened to the album. 170, My Morning Jacket, it still moves. Yeah, it's a really good album. I like it. I like Jim James, no issue there. 169. Yeah, I don't want to mess up the pronunciation, and I already said I have no issue with the different Latin types of music. Terror rock, rock world. Yeah, not necessarily my thing, but that's fine. Um, 167, the Postal Service, Give Up. Yeah, I don't mind the album. I probably prefer Def Cab, but at least it's a slightly different sound. So yeah, that's fine. 166, Danny Brown, XXX. Yeah, I don't mind some of Danny Brown's stuff. I think I've listened to the album before, but it's been a while, so I think I kind of liked it. Brandy Clark, Trop Soy, so yeah, it's kind of country music. Never really listened to it, so I'm not going to offer a strong opinion. 164, Missy, So Addictive. She does have songs I like. Like it mentions Get Your Freak On, so that's a good song. So if that's on this album, at least that's plus. But I haven't listened to that album. Oh yeah, it's a good album. I like it. Alabama Shakes, Boys and Girls. And I did see them live as well. It was at Echo Beach in Toronto. Yeah, and I love Brittany Howard's voice. With her solo stuff, she's kind of branched off to different directions. I do kind of like the straightforward approach of how Alabama Shakes. So it's kind of like if the Allman Brothers had like a Reba Franklin as a vocalist. But yeah, I love the beast vocals of Brittany Howard, but I could also see how she became too big for the band. 162, U2, All That You Can't Leave Behind. And I get it's easy to hate on U2 now, but this is an excellent album. It's one of those albums that even though it was technically released before 9/11, there was like a few songs on it that actually resonated in that context. So it almost had even a bit of a prophetic feel. Plus, one of the songs in a little while, yeah, it doesn't look like I mentioned it here, but it's one of the last songs that Joey Ramone heard before he died. That Bono kind of played it on cassette for him, and apparently it really moved him. So if you listen to in a little while in that context, like I think the lyrics in a little while, they hurt will hurt no more. Don't quote me because I don't have the lyrics in front of me. But yeah, that's a moving song, and it's a good album. I don't have a huge problem with being on there. Probably should be the only two U2 album on here because their peak obviously is 80s and I guess 1991 with the Octane Baby. Actually, I really like Zoopa as well, but I don't think it's really considered an influential album. I think it's just now that gets overlooked a bit. Yeah, I like Drive By Truckers, and this is probably the best album. The album that they released, I think, in 2016, American Band, that's an excellent album as well. But yeah, this is more of like a bit of a concept album. And I kind of, I think, even explored a bit like Leonard Skinner, some of the situations involved in that, and some of the, I guess you can say, sovereign duality. Like, yeah, like the Southern hospitality, but you also have some of the racism and some of those other things. But yeah, it's a really good kick-ass album with some good social commentary. 160. Yeah, I haven't heard the album, so I'll just keep moving. 159, System of a Down, Toxicity, excellent album. I do really like the album. It's a heavy album, very political. Yeah, it has Prison Song on it. That's an excellent song, Dear Dance. So yeah, it's an excellent album. 158, yeah, I do like this album as well. So I think we're still at the point where we're getting some albums that are critically well received or commercially successful. I think it's kind of one or the other. We don't have the really big albums that are considered landmark albums yet. But yeah, I do like Courtney Barnett. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. So I get how her vocals could be a little bit monotone. And I also get where the lyrics are kind of almost things that are kind of really ordinary. Like one of the song titles, Pedestrian at Best. Our songs are almost pedestrian, but there's a certain quirky charm to that as well. So I do enjoy or Dry Wet. And yeah, I like that it's on there. 157, The Angelo and the Vanguard, Black Messiah. So this is a very political album that I know was released. I know at the beginning of Black Lives Matter, but I believe it was shortly after or the death of Michael Brown. Doesn't look like it mentioned it there. But yeah, I did have this on my list of the 100 best protest albums in 2010s. 156, Coffee Gifted. So another reggae artist that I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to the album. Maybe I should explore it. Okay, 155. So I figured there might be at least a couple of Billie Eilish albums, Happier Than Ever. So yeah, I've listened to a couple of albums, and anytime I've listened to her music, I like it. And as far as pop artist goes, she's probably one of my favorite, but it's still a type of music that I'm not necessarily hardcore into. But yeah, it's fine. 154. Once again, I don't want to butcher the title. And I already mentioned I don't have a problem with Latin American music being represented. 153, Fountains of Rain. So I wasn't necessarily expecting this. Welcome Interstate Managers. So I have listened to the album. I liked it. I'm not sure if it should be considered one of the 250 best, but I think Fountains of Rain, they were a pretty good power pop band. And I know like Adam Schlesinger, I think that's how you say his name. I know he died of COVID, so that's kind of tragic. Maybe that tragic death, I mean, not to get cynical, but maybe that's part of the reason why it made the list. 152, Rich Gang, that 20 part one. So yeah, I haven't listened to it, so I'll move on. 151, Stephen Marcus and the Jacks. So yeah, I know he's from Pavement. Um, I don't think I've listened to full album from this project. Some of the stuff I've heard, it was fine. Pavement's probably better, and I'm not super hardcore in the Pavement. So I'll just move on. We'll click on the word more. Take a swig of water. So this is the first Beyonce related project, but we all know that it's not going to be the only one. It's a Destiny Child, Survival. It's fine. I mean, I don't mind Destiny Child. It's not really necessarily the type of thing I'm overly into, but for what they were solid, and obviously they were a successful group. 149, Bob Dylan, Rough and Rowdy Ways. I mean, for a late period Bob Dylan album, it's fine. Like I didn't hate it. I think it was critically well received. I think it's possibly also well received because of Dylan's legacy, but it wasn't a bad album. Like I'm not mad at it. 148, Tame Impala Occurrence. Really good album. Don't have an issue. 147, Kanye West. He's Jesus. Um, I mean, this is one of those things that's kind of a bit complicated now talking about Kanye West, but years prior to all those like scandals and then basically going off the rails, he was considered a fairly important rapper. So sometimes I guess you gotta separate the art from the artist. Animal Collective, Mary Redder, Post Pavilion. And I liked the album, but I always didn't quite understand totally the critical hype behind it. But yeah, it's fine. 145, J. Cole, The Off Season. Um, there's other J. Cole albums I like better. And I'm suspecting there's probably gonna be at least one more album. So I'm not gonna say it by name yet. But yeah, we'll keep scrolling. Playboy Cardi, Die Lit. Um, that's fine. I've never super got into Playboy Cardi, but I'm not mad at him. 143. I'm probably gonna butcher the name. Sorry, got a speech impediment and I don't always pronounce things well. And I'm being serious, I do, so I'm not making fun of people's speech impediments. So the album is St. Cloud. And this is a really good album. I liked it. Um, I mean, I don't know where I would rank it, but at 143, that's fine. 142, not an album I'm familiar with. Oh yeah, so that's like he's from Nigeria, so probably like another Afro pop. And I'm perfectly fine that they're not making this an exclusive American list. So the fact they're trying to branch out and do another international forms of music, I'm perfectly cool with that. 141, Mariah Carey, The Emancipation of Mimi. That's fine. Like don't think I've ever listened to an entire Mariah Carey album, but obviously she's considered a successful and influential diva and she can sing, so I can't argue with that. Yeah, so yeah, he's a Colombian singer. I'm not really familiar with him. Then we got Wild Kylie, more adventurous, and that's fine. Don't have an issue. Um, so yeah, it's a perfectly fine album. I'm not sure if I'd rank it at 139, but yeah, I'm not mad at it. Yeah, 138, Franz Ferdinand. Excellent album. This was an important album as part of the kind of like, I guess you can say garage rock revival of the early to mid 2000s. I mean, there's better albums, I think, as part of that revival, but those albums haven't showed up yet. So I'm suspecting there's going to be at least a few other garage rock revival albums. 137, Pistol Annie's, Interstate Gospel. But yeah, so Miranda Lambert's part of this. Haven't listened to the album, so won't offer an opinion. 136, Migos Culture. So yeah, I think this is sort of like trap music. I think I have heard Bad and Bougie, which is fine. It's okay. Don't have a strong opinion otherwise. 135, Fall Out Boy from Under the Cork Tree. Yeah, I never really got into Fall Out Boy. So yeah, I'll just move on. 134, Katy Perry, Teenage Dream. Yeah, I haven't listened to the album. Obviously, I know a number of the songs off the album, like California Girls, E.T., that E.T. song I always kind of found a little bit creepy. I didn't quite get it. But yeah, she's not my thing, so I'll just keep scrolling. 133, this is an excellent album. I think if this was on a site like Pitchfork, this probably would be a lot higher rate. Like I could see this being like a top 50 album because this album was very critically well received. But it's an excellent, ambitious album. Oh yeah, John Wayne Gacy Jr. is a great song. Chicago, very ambitious, kind of like an orchestral feel to it, and a very cinematic feel to the whole album. Oh yeah, I mentioned I was even adapted for Broadway in 2023. I vaguely remember hearing that, but I could see how the music would lend itself to a theatrical production. So some K-pop with BTS. I could see BTS being the only K-pop represented. Never listened to a BTS album, so I'll just keep moving on. Disclosure, Settle. Yeah, I'm not super hardcore into EDM. I think this is considered an important album within EDM, so I don't have an issue, but I haven't listened to it. 130, Brandy Carlisle. By the way, I Forgive You 2018. This is a really good album. I like it a lot. Brandy Carlisle is almost someone who's kind of almost well received by other musicians. So I don't know if it's just critics that have a say or if they reached out to other musicians as well. But she's one of those when they say your favorite singer or favorite songwriter, she's one of those type individuals. It'd be interesting that Jason Isbell be on here because he kind of has that similar reputation. But I think Randy Carlile might be a bit more well received. And I think if you're going to get Jason Isbell, that probably would have already happened. So 129, Justin Timberlake, Future Sex, Love Sounds. That's fine. Um, I mean, I think his reputation's taken a hit lately, but separate the art from the artist. And yeah, I never, it's not necessarily my thing, so we'll just move on. 128, Salons, A Seat at the Table. So yeah, this is Beyonce's sister. And this is an excellent album, and it's really like powerful, socially conscious album. Like this album was also on my list of the 100 best protest albums of the 2010s. So yeah, it's really good. And it's almost a shame that she's related to Beyonce because I guess in some way that may have opened up some doors for her. But it also means that she was a bit overshadowed. So at times she was probably overlooked because of that connection as well. But stylistically, she's gone in a completely different direction. So I think that's cool that she's blazing her own path. 127, Big Thief, UFOF. Yeah, excellent album. I do really like Big Thief. Adrienne Lenko, the lead singer, like her 2024 album was basically my favorite album of the year. And it's the only album I gave 5 stars to. So yeah, I love the music. So that's cool. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. So this is the first Beyonce solo album. Yeah, I think this is the first Beyonce. Of course, there was Destiny Child and Beyonce's sister made the list. But yeah, this is a really good album. You might recall if you watched my 25 album video 2024, which you probably didn't, because very few people watched it. But if you did, it made my top 25 list. I think it was 23. And this is part of the second part of a trilogy that kind of focuses on musical genres that kind of been whitewashed or had the Black roots whitewashed. So I think it did make an important statement. The album is a little bit long and uneven, but I do think you could argue that it's an important album. 125, I'm just going to scroll because I'm not familiar with the album. It mentions Daddy Yankee, so this is probably like a reggaeton album, not a genre I'm familiar with. 124, Chief Keef, Finally Rich. Yeah, so haven't heard the album, so we'll keep scrolling. 123, Spoon, Kill the Moonlight. I don't mind Spoon. And from what I recall, I think I've heard the album in the past, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really remember a song from it. So yeah, it's I never 100% connected with Spoon. Maxwell, Black Summer's Night. I mean, I don't mind Maxwell. I do like his rendition of This Woman's Work by Kate Bush. Don't think I've ever heard this album. 121, Air Church, Chief. I mean, as far as mainstream country artists go, I don't necessarily mind him. He has a little bit of a rock edge. I don't think I've listened to this album in its entirety. Springsteen, which is on this album, is a decent enough song. 120, Burna Boy, African Giant. I know this is another kind of, I guess they describe it as Afrofusion, but I guess a modern kind of Afrobeat artist. Sounds like there's some political commentary there, so maybe I've been kind of asleep at the wheel a bit, not listening to it, because it sounds like it might be something that kind of would fit what I'm trying to do with my website, ongoing history of protest music. So that might be an oversight. Lord Pure Heron. So yeah, I don't mind her. Yeah, so it looks like this is the album with Royals on it. Um, so yeah, that's fine. 118 Drake. If you're reading this, it's too late. I've never actually listened to an entire Drake song. Not song, albums. I've actually listened to quite a few Drake songs. Of course, his reputation has taken a hit lately. Like Kendrick Lamar totally annihilated him with their beef. But obviously, none of that has anything to do with whether or not his albums are any good. Like it's not something I'm particularly into, but whatever. 117 Beck Sea Change. I mean, it's a really good Beck album. If I was gonna put it on the list, I'd probably put it somewhere between 250 to 200. But yeah, I'm not mad at it. It's a pretty good Beck album. 116, Leonard Cohen, Old Ideas. I mean, it's fine. It's a good enough album. Um, I think it's kind of there because he's Leonard Cohen and there's a legacy there. But it's a good album. Um, 115, Miguel. Not sure if I've actually, yeah, I don't think I have listened to this album, but I don't mind some Miguel stuff. Joyanne Welch, Time, The Revelator. I think I've listened to the album a while ago. From what I recall, I think I like it, but not enough to offer a strong opinion. My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. I've never got into My Chemical Romance, but this album's pretty good. Like it's a pretty good kind of concept rock opera dealing with cancer. Doesn't look like the songs mentioned in the write-up, but there's a song called Cancer, which has a powerful music video as well. And it is a song that I have a tough time listening to without getting choked up. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that. One Tribe, Carly Rae Jepsen, Emotion. I mean, she's Canadian. Otherwise, it's not really necessarily my thing. And then Call Me Maybe is a bit overplayed and a bit obnoxious. America Badu, Mama's Gone. This is an excellent album. It's nice to see it there. So no issue there. 110, Little Uzi Vert. Yeah, not someone I've ever really got into, so we'll just move on. 109, Haim, Woman in Music, Part 3. So yeah, I don't have a problem with Haim. I think this is a good album. Not sure exactly where I'd rank it, and I think they have another album, I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they have another album. I think it shows them like laying down on the ground on the cover, I think. I forget the name of it, but I think I like that album better. But I think this album was more critically well received. 108, The Mountain Goats, Tallahassee. I'm actually happy and surprised to see it at 108. Like to me, The Mountain Goats was going to be on the list. It'll be somewhere between 250 to 200. Like to me, this is a pick that, like the old Pitchfork, this would be one of their top albums back before Pitchfork went corporate. But yeah, I do really love them. No Children, an excellent song, like very not disorienting, but kind of like an enjoyable song to listen to because there's a lot of basically it's a married couple that we hate each other. So it could be an uncomfortable listen, but kind of compelling. So we'll move on. Deftones by Pony. It's fine. I don't hate it. And I think it is considered one of the better albums in that genre. I think it borders on kind of new metal, but it's not as kind of misogynistic or kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but it's definitely a step up from stuff like Limp Bizkit. 106. Yeah, not really familiar with the album. It sounds like it's described as reggaeton. So just a genre that's a blind spot for me. 105, Fiona Apple, Extraordinary Machine, excellent album. So I'm suspecting there's going to be at least one other Fiona Apple album, maybe two more, or at least one more. But yeah, excellent album. It's good to see it on the list. 104, Brian Wilson, Smile. It's fine. I think a lot of it's on there partly because of the lore of the album. Like he wanted to release his masterpiece, Smiley Smile, and it never happened. And so there is a certain, I guess, somewhat of a legacy pick, but it's a good album. Um, so yeah, I don't have an issue with it. 103, Traveler by Chris Stapleton. As far as mainstream country artists go, I do like Chris Stapleton better than most, and I do really like this album. So yeah, if you're gonna have some mainstream country artists on the list, this is basically one of your top picks, or has one of your top picks. It does have really cool soulfulness and a bluesiness to it, and even like a country rock flair. Tennessee Whiskey, that's mentioned in the write-up. That's an excellent song. Okay, 102, Lucy Darkhouse home video. Like I mentioned before, when Boy Genius was there, I wasn't sure if any of their solo projects would be on there. So I'm actually surprised that this did better than Boy Genius, but I don't have an issue with it. It's a really good album. I'd be interested to see if I suspect Phoebe Bridgers will have at least one album, probably Punisher. I'm not sure if Julian Baker would make it on that, because I think if she would, I think critically she's kind of at a comparable level than Lucy Darkhouse. So it's possible you'll get all three Genius solo projects, but I think if Julian Baker was going to be on it, she would have already been on it. 101, Little Wayne, the Drought 3. I never really got into Little Wayne, but I understand he's considered to be a pretty influential rapper. So whether or not that's considered one of his best albums, I'm not sure. I believe, was it that Carter or whatever that's considered his best album? Don't quote me on that because I'll admit I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to the discography of Little Wayne. And we're now officially in the top 100. So we got Burial Untrue. Yeah, it's not something I've ever got into, but I do think it's important, not important. Yeah, I think it's considered fairly important and well received for that type of music. So that's fine. 99, The Weekend, House of Balloons. I think this was one of his mixtapes, like his first couple of albums he was giving away for free. And I think that's one of the albums. So yeah, from what I remember, I liked this album. When it became a bit more commercial, like I started to lose interest a little bit. But yeah, from what I recall, I liked it enough. I think was this one of the ones he was giving away for free? I think so. Yeah, because I think it did well because of the streaming numbers, because I mentioned Diamond and then I mentioned the Grammy wins. I think the Grammy wins came. Okay, I think it's just saying that he went on to become a big artist. But yeah, the humble beginnings were these mixtapes that he gave away for free, and that got a lot of attention. And I think that was kind of there was a couple of artists like that. Like he also had Chance the Rapper, who started off by giving away mixtapes, releasing his albums for free, and that kind of created buzz for them. So that'd be kind of, I guess, that kind of makes them influential to a degree. 98, Sky Ferreira, Nighttime, My Time. So yeah, I don't have much of an opinion on that. 97, Young Thug, So Much Fun. Yeah, I don't even know if I've listened to this album in its entirety. 96, J Balvin. Yes, I think this is kind of considered reggaeton, I believe, and I haven't listened to it. 95, No Name, Telephone. I think I referenced No Name prior when they talked about Saba. I think Saba was someone, yeah, I mentioned Saba here, that they collaborated together. So this is a debut, which was a mixtape. Yeah, it's excellent. I like it. No issues there. I mean, I'm surprised it made top 100 because I thought that would be the kind of thing that you'd put earlier on in the list. But yeah, I'm honestly mad at it. Victoria Monet, not familiar with it, so move on. Gorillaz, Demon Days. I don't mind Gorillaz. I'm trying to remember what's on this album. I probably listened to it. Kids with Guns. Yeah, I remember that song. Oh yeah, apparently it's the one with Feel Good Inc. So yeah, I mean, they're probably the best virtual band of all time. 92, Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. In the past, I never fully got into Tyler Creator, but I do like the album that he released in 2024. I don't have to say I have an issue with him. 91, Alicia Keys, song in A minor. Is that, yeah, it's a debut album. So it's the one with Falling on it, which is an excellent song. I don't think I've ever listened to the entire album. Okay, this is an excellent album. Okay, Fire Funeral. Yeah, I love this album. Yeah, Wake Up, classic album. Um, now I'm drawing a blank, but there's this one really good protest song as well. That's actually I think this might be on Neon Bible, the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, Wake Up's an excellent album. Not sure if Neon Bible would make it or not. If it was going to, it probably already would have. So this is probably the only Arcade Fire album. Future, DST. Um, I think that's considered important in the development of trap, but otherwise it's not something I'm really into. Then we got some Madonna music. That's fine. Don't have a strong opinion either way. Um, 87. Okay, I referenced Chance the Rapper, and I think this is one of his mixtapes. So from what I recall, I really liked it. And I think it was kind of, like I said, important in artists establishing a name for themselves with their mixtapes or with releasing music for free. So I think he's an important artist in that context. 86, FKA Triggs, Magdalene. Yeah, I do like FKA Triggs. I'm not sure exactly where I rank it on an all-time setting, but I'm not mad at it. 85, Parquet Courts, Light Up Gold. Yeah, I don't mind Parquet Courts. I mean, 85 does seem a bit high for it, but that's fine. Because like the other album, I think I like better. I think they released that was in 2018, Wide Awake. I think that was the name of the album. But yeah, I don't have an issue. Yeah, we got 84, Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy. I've never actually listened to the album. Cardi B, I mean, it's fine. Whatever. Don't have an issue. Okay, now Kanye West, 808s and Heartbreak. I wasn't quite sure how they would approach ranking Kanye West albums because obviously we already talked about it. His reputation is taking a hit. This is an album that if they did this list 10 years ago, maybe the album might have been like higher ranked. But yeah, sometimes I guess you gotta separate the art from the artist. 82, Lady Gaga, Born This Way. I don't mind Lady Gaga. Um, I'm trying to think if I've ever listened to an entire Lady Gaga album, but this is fine. Don't have an issue. I'm happy for the Little Monsters that Lady Gaga has at least one album on the list. But I was kind of surprised it's only one album unless another album shows up. Okay, I do love this album. Bonnie Iver, Forever Long Ago. I always get a kick out of the fact that I don't remember what year, I think it might have been 2011 or 2012. Bonnie Iver won a Best New Artist Grammy. So basically, it was like 4 or 5 years after this album, which is an excellent classic album. So I kind of get a kick out of that. Oh yeah, and Skinny Loves is on this album. So that, yeah, really good album. Number 80, Britney Spears, Blackout. Haven't listened to it and never really listened to a Britney Spears album. So we'll just keep scrolling. Okay, I mentioned Jason Isbell earlier. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure if he would have an album or not, because I initially thought if he did, it would be earlier on in the list. And I also thought that Brandy Carlisle might be ranked a little bit higher than him. But there's similar artists, like I said, in the fact that they're your singer-songwriter's favorite singer-songwriter. And yeah, there's like Cover Me Up's on this album. Yeah, so listen to Jason Isbell's version, not Morgan Wallen. Yeah, Elephant, that's one of those songs that like when you listen to that song, it's one of the songs that just tears you up inside. So yeah, excellent album. Okay, so we got another album of kind of like Spanish music that I'm not familiar with. Like I said before, I guess it's cool that we get representation from Latino music representation. So Adele 25. Um, so I wonder if that's the first study Adele. So I wonder if 19 or 21 would make it or not. Um, I mean, Adele's fine. Don't have an issue with her. I know that she's obviously successful, and so yeah, that's fine. Okay, 76. This is not a huge surprise because this is kind of like a critical Dolan, Vampire Weekend, Modern Vampires of the City. So yeah, I like the album. Don't have an issue with it. We'll just keep scrolling. Okay, love this album. If I was personally making the list, this has a shot my top 10, at least top 25. But yeah, I'm a huge White Stripe fan. White Blood Cells. This is probably my favorite White Stripe album. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it's a classic album and a very important album as part of the garage rock revival of the 2000s. So I don't know if this would be the top ranked garage rock album because I haven't seen the Strokes yet, but I definitely prefer White Stripes over the Strokes. Okay, 74, One Direction 4. Yeah, not my thing, so we'll just move on. Okay, 73, Nicki Minaj, Pink Friday. Yeah, I get she's an important female rapper, but I've never listened to a Nicki Minaj album. Don't have a strong opinion. 72, so I guess the second Taylor Swift album, and you knew that it was going to be multiple. 1989. Um, I actually did listen to this album once. It was actually afterwards because I was introduced to it by Ryan Adams doing a cover album of it. Um, but Ryan Adams is he has a complicated legacy now. Um, but yeah, the songs are good. Musically, it's not necessarily my thing, but lyrically, they're not bad. So we got 71. Yeah, it's a really good album. PJRV. Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. So yeah, I like PJRV. No issue there. I wonder if that'd be the only PJ Harvey because I think this might be your critically most well received, but she has other albums that I think I like better. Interpol, Turn on the Bright Lights. Um, I think I like this album. I think I've heard it. Um, I can't really recall. Okay, I talked about this before that this album will probably make it. So Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher. So I'm suspecting this will be the top rank album of the members of Boy Genius. So it looks like Julian Baker might be the only Boy Genius member who doesn't have a solo album make the list. And this is an album that kind of, like in a lot of the albums that were released in 2020, it was kind of a unique time period because that was during the pandemic. And a number of the albums that released on an emotional level, they resonated even more because of that time period. Because not only the pandemic, I mean, this case is pandemic, but there's other albums that also resonated because of the climate with like BLM and the different like political social movements. So we got 68, Green Day, American Idiot. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it became a really successful album. It's a good album. Don't have an issue with it. I believe I had it on actually, I don't believe I'm like 99.9% certain that when I made my list of the 100 best protest albums of the 2000, it was on that list. Okay, 67, Harry Styles, Harry's House. Haven't listened to it. I've heard a couple songs by him. I don't necessarily hate them, but don't have a strong opinion. Okay, so it's the first Kendrick Lamar. So that's number 66. If I have to guess, there'll be two other Kendrick Lamar albums, which I'm not going to say by name. Um, but yeah, this is an excellent album, so I don't have an issue with it. Oh, sorry about that. Well, it's going way too fast. So we'll just scroll down. We'll decide later if I'm going to bother editing it or not. Or you might get an unedited version. Oh yeah, so there's the Kendrick Lamar. So we got 165 by Björk, Vespertine. And there's other Björk albums that I probably prefer. Definitely more accessible. Like this is a bit more of an experimental album, but I don't have an issue with it. 64 by Slater Kinney, The Woods. Yeah, and I probably prefer the 90s output, but this is still an excellent album. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'd put it on my personal top 100, but I'm not mad at it. 63, Daft Punk Discovery, that's fine. Like it's not something that I'm heavily into, but I get that Daft Punk, they're very important with what they do. But yeah, and it looks like this is the one with harder, better, faster, stronger. So I do really like that song. One More Time, I'm not really a big fan. I find that song a little bit annoying. So 62, Lana Del Rey, Born to Die. I heard the album. It's fine. That's all I gotta say. We'll just scroll down. I don't have an issue with that. Ariana Grande, Thank You Next. So yeah, Thank You Next. I mean, she's fine. Like she's a successful pop artist, not my thing. Number 60, Bruce Springsteen, The Rising. I guess that is a little bit Rolling Stone core. So you actually do expect some, I guess, kind of baby boomer type picks, even though I don't think there's too many baby boomers that are still checking out Rolling Stone. Um, I mean, yeah, I was fine. The Rising, it's okay. He obviously has better albums, but none that were released in the 2000. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have it ranked that high. A 59, MIA, Kayla, that's a really good album. Yeah, I think it's the one People, yeah, it's the one Paper Planes. I love that song. An excellent protest song. I believe I had this on my list of the 100 best protest albums of the 2010s. J. Dilla Donuts, yeah, that's fine. I know it's very important as far as instrumental hip hop goes. K57, Arctic Monkeys, AM. That's fine. I don't mind the Arctic Monkeys. I don't know if I'd have it at 57, but whatever. 56, not an album I listen to. So I'm just gonna move on. Okay, 55, Radiohead and Rainbows. It's a really good album. I like the album. Also, if you're trying to talk about, because music's subjective, it's hard to take an objective approach. But if you want to look at things like importance, I think the release of the album, but to pay what you want, I think kind of made it important in that sense. But musically, I really like it. Like it's not my favorite Radiohead, but it's not my least favorite either. And I don't think Radiohead has an album that I absolutely hate, even though I don't totally buy into the mystique of everything Tom York does is a work of genius. But I do really like Radiohead. Jay-Z, the Black Album, 54. That's fine. You knew that there was going to be at least one Jay-Z album. I don't mind Jay-Z. And I think there's a reason why he's considered one of the goats of rap. Paramore Riot. I like Paramore. 53 personally seems a bit high for my personal taste, but that's fine. 52, Usher Confessions. Usher's not really my thing, but he's a successful R&B artist, and maybe he is considered one of the best R&B artists. So maybe that's an appropriate spot for him. 51, Robin, Body Talk. I think this was a critically well received and commercially successful album. There's that one song I like. Is it on this album? Yeah, Dancing on My Own. Yeah, it's a great song. Um, I don't recall any other songs on the album, but I don't think I've listened to the album. So I'll kick on a little more and I'll take a swig of water. So we got Ghostface Killer, Supreme Clientele. I mean, it's a really good album. Um, so it holds up well. There's probably other solo albums from former Wu-Tang Clan members than this one, but it's a good album. Not sure I put it number 50, but that's fine. Mitski, Puberty 2. I've never really got into Mitski, and I don't think I've listened to this album. But yeah, it seems to be like the rank seems a little bit high, but I haven't listened to it, so I'm not going to say anything. Miranda Lambert, Platinum. Never listened to a Miranda Lambert album. So we'll just move on. 47, Kanye West, The College Dropout. I think this is an example of an album that if Kanye West's reputation didn't take such a hit, I could see this being like a top 10 album because it is considered a classic and it was reconsidered a classic album like even just a few years ago. But yeah, I do actually really like this album, even though I haven't really listened to a lot of Kanye West in recent years. Okay, 46, LCD Sound System, Sound of Silver. I mean, yeah, I'm fine. I don't mind LCD Sound System, but I never got hardcore into them. 45, Daddy Yankee. I guess he is considered the top name in reggaeton. That's not something that I'm really into, never listened to the album. I haven't seen any Bad Bunny yet, so I'm suspecting there's going to be a Bad Bunny album coming up. Um, I guess that's fine. It's not my thing. 44, Eminem, no Marshall Mathers LP. That's fine. I mean, I think this is the first Eminem album. This is probably the best album he released in the 2000s, probably. I'm surprised there's only one, but because he is a GOAT level rapper. It might not be the only one, but it's the only one I could think of off the top of my head that I would put on the list this high. Um, but yeah, that's fine. Was that the one stand on it? It's been a while since I listened to it. Yeah, that's Stan. Stan's that's like some of the best storytelling of all time. It's a song that gives me chills every time I listen to it. So if I was doing a list of the 250 best songs of the 21st century, Stan would probably be somewhere on my top 50. Sturgill Simpson, Metro Modern Sounds and Country Music. So a bit of a mouthful, but this is an excellent album. Like this is, because I'm not into a lot of mainstream country, but this is, I wouldn't say it's totally in left field because I think fans of mainstream country can still get into it, but it does, I think, it's a little bit outside of the mainstream. But yeah, it's a really good album. But yeah, it has Promise, which is a really good cover of When in Rome, which I believe is like a one-hit wonder, but like an 80s new wave group. But yeah, The Promise, it might be my favorite song on the album. I think it's another album where he covered In Bloom by Nirvana, but that was an excellent cover. 42, The Kills, Hot Fuzz. 42 seems to be a little bit high, but it's an excellent album. It's a really good album. So I'm not mad at it. 41, Chapel Roan, released in 2023. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to it, but I know she's getting a lot of attention, so this might be considered one of the better pop albums. I think it's a bit tricky when you're dealing with albums from 2023 and 2024 because they haven't had the time to reestablish their reputational legacy yet. So where do you rank an album from 2023 compared to like a really strong album from 2000? Like you have like 20 years of, or 23 years of legacy compared to barely a year. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. We got number 40, Casey Musgraves, Gordon Howe. As far as country artist goes, I like Casey Musgraves better than most. I'm not sure I listened to the entire album, but she has some songs I like. Is this the album with Rainbow on it? It doesn't say, but I do like that song, Rainbow. 39, Olivia Rodrigo Sour, 2021. This could be a recency bias, getting tongue-tied. Because like I already mentioned about sometimes these newer albums haven't been able to establish their legacy yet. But she is one of the top artists at this moment. So seeing that she has an album on the list, not surprising. 38, Channel Orange, Frank Ocean, really good album. Don't we have a problem with it? Beyonce Renaissance, excellent album. Just the first part of the trilogy that she was basically reclaiming the black roots of house music. It was just house, I guess more disco. But basically, she's reclaiming black dance sounds that have kind of been whitewashed. So, and it kind of not even just whitewashed, is kind of there's also the queer aspect of dance music that sometimes gets overlooked. So she embraces that on the album as well. So I'm not sure I personally rank it as my top 37, but I understand why it's a well-regarded album. 36, Taylor Swift, Red. Haven't listened to it. Sorry, Swifties. But otherwise, we'll just move on. 35, Charlie XCX, Brat. I mean, I already mentioned about the issues of how to rank newer albums, but obviously this is considered the top album of 2024. So you knew it was going to be on the list somewhere. I'm assuming this is the top rank album from 2024. Okay, Bad Bunny, you knew he was going to have at least one album. Haven't listened to it. We'll just move on. What? Come on. I wonder if Good Kid, Mad City would be somewhere like on the top five. I know it's not number one because I said that was spoiled. But yeah, The Pimp a Butterfly at only 33. Now that's shocking. Like that would be my like going into this, my thinking would be that'd be like the number one album. So yeah, it's the first time I was really shocked at this list. Um, so yeah, but I'm suspecting Good Kid, Mad City would probably be top five, maybe even number two. But personally, I do rank The Pimp a Butterfly above Good Kid, Mad City. Um, but yeah, we'll move on. I don't want to get too worked up by a list. Mad Villain, Mad Villainy. It's a really good album. I'm not sure I'd put a project of MF Doom ahead of To Pimp a Butterfly. I mean, this is more of like an underground cult classic, so I don't think it has the overall impact of To Pimp a Butterfly. The fact that MF Doom sadly passed away, maybe, I mean, I don't want to get cynical like that, but maybe that kind of elevated the status of the album. But yeah, it's an excellent, out of left field kind of cult rap album. But yeah, it's to put it above The Pimp a Butterfly. Okay, 31, Billie Iris, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? I did listen to this album. Initially, I wasn't going to because I'm not a pop person, but when she was getting like buzz, I decided to give it a listen. And as far as pop music goes, I like this better than most. There's some interesting things going on, and there is a certain like teenage angst to it that I can appreciate. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, 30, Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. So this is kind of like the critics' fave. And I really like this album. It's an excellent album. Might even have on my top 100. But I think I'm going to spend a lot of time with the next 30 albums saying, how did it rank above To Pimp a Butterfly? But it is a fairly important alt country album. And it looks like this might be the top rank alt country album. So yeah, maybe you can make an argument for it. 29, SZA, Control. I mean, it was a top ranked album. I think it did well both commercially and critically. So I'm not necessarily mad at it. Okay, Lil Wayne, Dakota 3. So I think I mentioned Dakota before, but this is the third Dakota. But yeah, I don't really know how to rank Lil Wayne albums. So I can't say too much other than the fact that The Pimp a Butterfly better than that. I don't know. 27, Yeah, Yeah, Yes, Fever to Tell, really good album. Not sure it's better than The Pimp a Butterfly. 26, Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, excellent album. I was gonna say I don't know if it's better than Pimp a Butterfly, but I don't want to disrespect Amy Winehouse. I think she is a very important artist and part of the 27 club. But I think even if you're still alive, this would still be an excellent album. And it was part of like a revival of kind of throwback music, but it was throwback with like a modern edge. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for Amy Winehouse. Not mad at that pick. 25, Lord, Melodrama. Yeah, I never super got into Lord, so for me, this seems to be overrated, but I don't think I've ever listened to the whole album, so maybe that's a bit of an uninformed decision. David Bowie, Black Star, that's fine. It's a good album. I think it's a little bit overrated because of his legacy, but it's a really good album. I don't have a problem with being on the list. I'm not sure I'd rank it above To Pimp a Butterfly, but that's fine. 23, Drake, Take Care. Definitely not better than The Pimp a Butterfly. Um, 22, Rosalia. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna have to scroll because once again, I'm not well informed with Hispanic music, but maybe it's considered a groundbreaking Hispanic album, so I don't want to get too uptight about it. Rihanna Auntie, I mean that's fine. I still don't know if I put it above To Pimp a Butterfly. 20, Lady Gaga, The Fame Monster. I mean, as far as pop artist goes, I probably like Lady Gaga better than most, and I can see where she's influential, but not better than The Pimp a Butterfly. 19, Bob Dylan, Love and Fast. I mean, it's a good album, especially a good album for a 2001 Bob Dylan album, but I think it's probably overrated, like because of Dylan's legacy. It's kind of put on a higher pedestal than what it should be put on. But this is kind of Rolling Stone core. But yeah, not better to Pimp a Butterfly. 18, Missy Elliott, Under Construction. Not sure if I listened to the album. I have respect for Missy Elliott, but never have listened to a lot of her music. Um, 17, Adele, 21. I mentioned before, I thought maybe 19 or 21 would make it, but I think 21 is considered a most successful album, so 19 probably won't be on it. So yeah, I'm not sure I put it at 17. It's definitely not better than To Pimp a Butterfly. 16, Beyonce, Beyonce. I mean, you knew there was gonna be a lot of Beyonce on the list. That's fine. I don't have a huge problem. 15, Lana Del Rey. Um, that's fine. I'm not sure I would put it at 15. I definitely wouldn't put it ahead of To Pimp a Butterfly. 14, White Stripes Elephant. I do really like this album. It's an excellent album. I prefer White Blood Cells, so I'd probably put that above it. but I'm glad that White Stripes are represented. Um, I mean, I wouldn't put her right ahead of To Pimp a Butterfly, sorry, Jack White, I love you, but no. But yeah, it's a good, really good album, important in the garage rock revival. 13, Fiona Apple, really long name. I'm not saying all of that. I do really like Fiona Apple. It looks like it's the second album on the list. I wonder if To Fetch Boat Cutters would be on it. I do think this is probably overranked a bit. Like I'd probably have it somewhere on the list, but yeah, I'm not sure about number 13. But yeah, that's fine. I mean, not above To Pimp a Butterfly. Number 12, Z-A-Z, A Blueprint. Um, I don't mind Jay-Z. I haven't really done a deep dive with him, but I understand why he's considered a GOAT. I mean, maybe not better than To Pimp a Butterfly, D'Angelo Voodoo. That's fine. I think he's considered important in neo soul. I mean, I don't know if I've listened to this album. I think the only album I've listened to him in its entirety was The Black Messiah, and that was more because I have a website dedicated to protest music. But I don't have an issue with him. I'm not sure about number 11. And like I said, I'm still a little bit taken back by To Pimp a Butterfly. Um, but yeah, we'll move on. Number 10, The Strokes. Is this it? I thought it was going to be on the list somewhere. I already mentioned I prefer the White Stripes. So if I was going to pick the best garage rock revival album, I would personally choose White Blood Cells. And I think it's definitely too high at number 10. But I anticipated that probably was going to be somewhere on the list. And I was even thinking maybe top 100 because they all consider after the White Stripes. They're probably the number two garage rock revival band. And some might even argue number one, even though I would strongly disagree with that. Number 9, Bad Bunny. Yeah, it's not my thing. It's a 2022 album. So there's that whole thing of it's still fairly new. So if you had to redo this list 10 years from now, where would it rank? I definitely, I mean, I can't say because I never listened to it, but it's better than To Pimp a Butterfly. I don't know. Number 8, Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'm actually surprised on how much Kanye West has showed up on this list. But at the time that this album came out, it was considered like an instant classic. Um, and I don't mind the album. I liked the album. I thought it was a really good album. I thought it was a little bit overrated, but it was almost overrated by default. Um, but yeah, it's fine. Sometimes you gotta separate the art from the artist. Number 7, SZA SOS. So yeah, this is the album released at the end of 2022. So I made a lot of critics 2023 list. So it's a critically well received album. It's a recent album, so it's one of those where it's going to rank 10 years from now, but it hasn't had the time to establish a legacy like some of the other albums. So once again, it's like, is this better than The Pimp a Butterfly, which has established a considerable legacy? Okay, yes. Can't Look 'Em All, Good Kid, Mad City, number. I mean, first off, I already said The Pimp a Butterfly would have been my number one album. But I figured if Pimp Butterfly only showed up in the 30s, I figured this might be like top five, maybe like number one. I already know what number one is, but I thought maybe this would be like number two or number three. I guess number six is fine. Um, I actually figured I Can't Look 'Em All might have like two albums in the top 10. Um, it is a classic album, so yeah, that's fine. Number 5, Taylor Swift Folklore. It's a really good album. It's probably the first Taylor Swift album that I listened to its entirety. It might have been 1989 because I already mentioned the story there that I kind of got introduced to 1989 because of Ryan Adams, not Brian Adams, the Canadian guy, Ryan Adams, the old country guy who has gotten himself in some trouble lately from like, I won't get into those details of why. Um, but yeah, I actually do really like folklore. Um, I do like the appearance of the National. I do like the song of Bon Iver. Like Exile is a beautiful song. But yeah, number five, it's definitely overrated. It's definitely not better than To Pimp a Butterfly. Number four, okay, excellent album. Like in the back of my mind was To Pimp a Butterfly is one of the most important rap albums of all time, but Stay Corner, I mean, can't argue too much with that. It's actually the first Outkast album, I think. Okay, some of the albums were in the 90s, but you also have like Love Below Speaker Box. I would think that would be somewhere in the 250s. I doubt it's going to be top three, but I haven't scrolled down yet. So yeah, only one Outkast surprises me a bit, but Stay Corner, excellent album. B.O.B. Bombs Over Baghdad, great song. Miss Jackson, great song. So yeah, I do love Outkast, no issues there. Number three, Frank Ocean Blonde. I actually probably prefer Channel Orange, but it's one of those things where I like Frank Ocean. I don't want to get too critical because I think he is well received and is considered fairly important. Even though like I said, I have a tough time accepting the fact that this is better than To Pimp a Butterfly, but maybe I should stop rambling about that. Number two, Radiohead Kid A. This does not surprise me. You knew that Radiohead, I mean, you knew Rainbows was probably going to be on the list. It was, but Kid A was going to be the top ranked album. I believe after OK Computer, this is the generally like ranked as like the second highest Radiohead album, even though it's not personally one of my favorites. Like they probably have, like I'll probably be OK Computer or the bands. I'm not sure where I put Kid A because I do. I think it's an excellent album, but there's other Radiohead albums I prefer more. But I see why it's considered a well-regarded album. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it being number two. Maybe a little bit, because actually, no, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem number two. I think it's more the number one I would have an issue with because my number one would be The Pimple Butterfly. But yeah, I probably should stop making a big deal about that. Um, Number one, okay, Beyonce Lemonade. Um, I do really like Lemonade. I consider the like I understand the cultural importance of it. Like I believe it was a surprise drop, and then I think it was kind of the release as a digital album. And I think it was an interesting album because of the intersection of personal and political. So there was the personal politics, so a lot of it had to deal with the issues of Jay-Z cheating on her. But there was also some strong political statements as well. Like, for example, formation. And in connection with that, it actually did make my list of the 100 best protest albums in 2010s. So I do really like Lemonade, and I'm not sure where I would rank it as far as my personal taste, but it doesn't surprise me that it'd be somewhere on the top five. But yeah, like I said, I'm shocked that To Pimp a Butterfly, what was it, 33? I remember exactly where it was. Let's scroll down. Because there's always going to be some, like I try not to get too worked up of positionings on the list. And there's some that, like to me, if it wasn't Rolling Stone, the Bob Dylan placement would seem high. Like if this was like Pitchfork, I might be like, okay. I'm not sure about that, but you do have to consider, I guess you can almost say, the editorial bias of the website or publication. Um, but yeah, there was Pimp a Butterfly. Yeah, to Pimp a Butterfly at 33. So that's probably my only really big shocker. So yeah, that's the list. What do you think of the list? Any albums that you feel should have made the list but didn't? What are your personal favorite albums of the 21st century so far? Feel free to name those in the comments as well. So if you want me to keep making content, like and subscribe, and also feel free to comment because that interaction helps as well. And it lets me know that I'm not just screaming into the void. So if you also want to check out my website, you can, ongoing history of protestsongs.com. So thanks for watching and please stay safe.